host, Wild Wild Thoughts.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Wild Wild Thoughts. We got my man Mars Blackman. He came back, y'all. We thought he wasn't gonna come back to the show after his last exit, but I had to talk him down off the ledge, and he's here. He came back. I'm not even gonna rehash y'all that, but let's first talk about the vice president debate yesterday. Let's talk about it. Let's have an honest conversation. Now, I know for the most part, people say, the vice presidential debate doesn't really move the needle, but I think this one had a couple of implications. I don't think it was, because they were trying to say the historic president, vice president. I don't think it was historic or, no shit like that. But I think they both had things they needed to do in the debate. I feel like J.D. Vance had more he needed to do than Walz. I feel like he had much more work to do. And I honestly feel like they both came to do what they needed to do. And I don't feel like either one had like a knockout punch. Either one had like where you could say, oh, he wiped the floor with him, he won. I didn't feel like that. But before I even get to who we feel like won, let's just talk about how did it feel weird to have a debate with that much civility?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a return to normalcy felt weird. Am I tripping, or did it feel like you was waiting for some fireworks, some crazy stuff to go on and it didn't? And then you're like, oh yeah, this is what debates used to be like. This is what politics used to be like.
Yeah. I almost feel like, the media set us up. Because if you were listening to all the stuff in which they were saying, like, both parties had to do and had to stand their grounds, and then you had, their bosses and that interaction. I think, I really thought that, we got set up. And looking at who they are, especially looking at who Walz is not the type of person that's like gonna get up in your face and like rah 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 rah. He's gonna,
Right.
To use your word, he's gonna talk you down. JD Vance, oh my God, I don't even know where to start with him. I'll put you like this. I think they both did what they were supposed to do. JD Vance, did you hear that he basically said that he wasn't going to prep for it?
He wasn't going to what?
He wasn't prep. He didn't prep for it.
I don't believe that.
He said he was going to go in there and wing it.
Yeah, I don't believe that, but I will say I heard that he was a really good debater. Like that's one of his biggest strengths has been he's a really good debater. But I for sure think he prepped for it because he had too many talking points, like the talking points about blaming Kamala for every single thing that happened in the country in the last 20 years. Like his points were too poignant for him to have not prepped at all. He prepped. Just like Donald Trump claimed so Donald Trump said he wasn't prepping for his debate. I believe him.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he didn't prep, but I don't believe he didn't prep. I don't believe that shit for a second.
Let me walk that comment back. What's up, V-Ray?
What's cracking, man?
I think he knew his talking points, but I think he went in there to push the talking points. I don't think he went in there to advance or give any type of details of what to expect, because at the end of the day, Trump is like, I ain't got no plan. I'm just doing what I want to do.
Like I said, what I will say is I think you should base this debate on what they came to do, not who won or lost. To me, like I think what JD came to do was I just need to not look crazy. I could lie, I could push all the Trump talking points, but I just need to look a little normal. And I think he did that. I think we can agree, right? That he, even though he was lying, even though he was getting the shit off, I think we can agree that he actually looked normal, looked like a normal politician yesterday on that stage.
Yes.
Even agreeing with some of the things, like those two having times where they're like, I actually agree. Something Trump would never do just out of his own ego. He like, I don't give a fuck how right you are. I'm not agreeing. You know what I'm saying? but I feel like they had a debate where you like, oh, this feels normal. And I feel like I feel like his whole aim was tonight, I need to not look crazy.
Mhm.
Tonight, I need to look a little more normal for the undecided voters and the swing voters.
Right.
And I think he did. I think he succeeded in that. And I think Walls needed to show, yes, we love the coach, we love the teacher, but
Mhm.
can you be diplomatic? Can
Which
you
he was.
can you be vice presidential? Right. And I
Mhm.
think that was his goal. And I also think he succeeded in that as well. So I
Right.
kind of feel like the debate came out even, kind of even. There were some times that I feel like in the very beginning, I feel like Walls was very nervous.
Yeah, he was.
Very nervous in the beginning because he was like fumbling words. He misspoke a little bit. But then I felt like JD, like after the break and they came back, I feel like Walsh was on point.
Yep.
Like it was like a tell of two halves. Like the first half, I feel like JD was all over him.
Mhm.
The second half, I felt like Walsh got his footing and was really like sticking to policy, was really landing to his speaking points. I think he did a good job talking about reproductive rights. He did a good job talking about gun control and how he's a gun
Yep.
owner. He did a good job bringing his religion into it, quoting a Bible verse for that middle America crowd. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I think he did a good job at the end. Kamala was nervous at the beginning. She was, and we said that too, Shannon. She was definitely nervous at the beginning of her debate. But yeah, I think he did a good. I think he did a good job at the end when he made the only clip that I feel like has went viral, which is that's kind of how they measure moments these days. When he
Mhm.
asked, when he brought up January 6th, and when he asked him, do you think Donald Trump lost the election? And he
Right.
didn't answer. That right there to me was the one tipping point that I felt like for Walls that got him a nice little jab, a nice little point, because that's the thing everybody was talking about today. That's
Right.
the clip that's been running all over the news. That's the clip that's been running all on social media. And I don't think Vance had a moment like that that's gonna go viral with Walls. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think I'm gonna expand on Walls. Something I didn't like at the same time, it was a throwback to how, we started off about how politicians debated. He came out and he said he's basically a student of bipartisan. And he
Yeah.
showed it with the complimentary, not with the rah rah, but very civil conversation. Um, Again, that speaks to senior citizens or senior voters and whatnot. It could potentially be a refresher for young voters who are now paying attention to politics, in which they're like, okay, this is different as opposed to what it is I am seeing the last, 8 years with Trump.
So do you
Um,
think that served him not being a pit bull yesterday? Do you think it was better the route he took yesterday, or you think he should have been a pit bull? And I want to hear your answer to this too, V Ray.
See, that's what I'm struggling with, because again, he showed the ability to reach across the aisles. The problem is, look who we have across the aisles who does not believe in that same bipartisan, and willing to compromise and willing to work. That's why it's like, on one hand, I was like, I applaud your maturity in this, but at the same time, look at what we have across that is not going to return that same favoritism.
What do you think, V Ray? You think he should have been diplomatic, or you think he should have been a pit bull yesterday?
I think when you go to a gunfight, man, you got to bring a gun, bro. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so I think that he was well prepared on the diplomatic side as far as how to respond and how to navigate the conversation without saying you're an asshole. But when it was time to say you're an asshole, he
Mhm.
didn't pull out. Like when old boy talked about on January 6th, Donald Trump had a peaceful transition, like the biggest glaringest lie in the world. Everybody at home was like, "Oh, I'm sure," but the old boy
Mhm.
was like, "Whatever." Hey, man, I think we can agree and all this. Like, at that point, you got to tear him a new ass when he exposes himself like that. I'm all with the diplomatic conversations and the cordial debates and stuff like that. And they did focus on the issues a lot more than most debates I've seen in the last 4 or 5 election cycles.
12 years.
But when it was time, but oh boy did dive off the board. And it's like, okay, I'll be a gentleman with you, but when you do something, you gotta let them have it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think I agree with you there, V-Ray. And I think because I felt like there were missed moments that he could have fact checked them to come a little harder when he was telling straight lies, like when he said Trump saved Obamacare. Like anybody who knows anything, like
everybody knows that's a lie.
Yeah, so I feel like there were moments he didn't, like you said, when he should have crashed out. There were a couple of crash out moments that or even if you just come at him a little harder to say that's some bullshit. I feel like
exactly.
That's what I needed.
That's all that's required. You're lying. Everybody in the room knows you're lying, and then move on to whatever your next statement is. It's like you can't just let that stuff fly. And I know it's politics, and people expect that hyperbole and all that stuff like that, but that was just glaring, lies, as if nobody has been awake the last, during Trump's term and beyond and before and all that. So he should have gutted him on those.
Yeah, I think another high point for Walls is when they were talking about the border, and he started talking about the Langford bill, and he started talking about the Republicans really don't want to solve the problem. I think that was a good point, but I also think J.D. Vance, because he wasn't being fact checked, J.D. Vance got away with getting off the illegals in Springfield, Ohio. Like he got that off and explained, like he was like, even though they're legal, it's still illegal, basically. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was able to get that off. So I think that was a moment he was able to take under, you know what I'm saying? They was going to take that under his,
right.
A point for him, I would say. And like I said, I think the nation doesn't want a woman president and a soft male vice president. I'm with that, Shannon. And you know what? I feel like, and tell me if y'all agree. I think they kind of over prepared. I feel like they over prepare Walls.
Yeah, I do agree with you that he was over prepared, which is why I think he may have had like those hiccup moments. But I'm circling back to something in which we've always said, Dane, is that we're focusing on the vice president and we're focusing on the president, but we also have to bigger Congress, Senate, those other areas.
Yeah.
Right? Because in order for this to work, it has to be a perfect storm of everything, which is why, assuming, knocking on wood, that they do get in, they're going to need the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, it's kind of even hard to talk about because it was so normal that it felt weird. Like it was such a normal debate that like you forget this is what, because we so used to Trump, even in the Republican debates, just like your wife is fat. Like, your mother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got so used to the chaos that when you see like a real debate about issues and policies, because of course, like you said, V-Ray, there's always hyperbole, there's always lies on both sides that they kind of embellish a little bit, but it don't go to the extent of they're eating cats and dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like, but so what we had yesterday, I think, was the regular political embellishment in life, besides January 6th. So that was wild. But outside of that, for the most part of the debate, it felt pretty normal. And like I said, I feel like, to me, outside looking in, trying to judge it subjectively, I think JD did a good job of looking normal. Because I think that's all he had to do. Like, all he had to do was look normal for the night. But I think, to V-Ray's point, I think we wanted to see a little more Coach Walls.
Right.
A little more to coach. But I feel like we need a little more to coach, but I feel like they settled because you could tell, and he was thinking so much. You could tell he was like, I gotta say this, I gotta say this, I gotta say these statistics. You know what I mean? Like, you could see the calculations in his face. So I feel like you didn't let him be coach who just kind of is off the top of his head and is gonna give you that Midwestern charm and all that. I feel like you wasn't able to get that because I do think he was. He had the American flag lapel on the pen, the very conservative suit, like super, like he almost looked like a Republican in his suit. You know what I mean? So I felt like they almost like made him too like almost they put him on Ritalin yesterday. Like they calmed him down too much to be too diplomatic, and they took away that boisterousness that you get from Coach in the rally and you get in the interviews. I feel like you didn't get that yesterday, which I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think you probably wanted, if you wanted to say, I want to see them win the debate, well, the energy would have been different if you got Coach, in my opinion.
I almost feel that, I'm not justifying this, but I almost feel like the over preparedness was in the event that that is the only debate, or that is the last debate.
For sure. For sure.
And then
Michael Bear, hold on, let me read this. Michael Bear said, Trump lost my vote with January 6th. I cannot get past that. We didn't do that when we all went out there for the Million Man March. But look how they acted. Made me want to stay back to the lynch mob. Very sad. He should be.
He had Michael's vote before that?
Good question. Did he have your vote before that, Michael? And you know what's interesting? I'm glad that Michael said that, though, because I do feel like, because like I said earlier, the January 6th piece is the piece that he kind of got a good punch on. Like he got a really good punch on. A lot of swing voters and a lot of independents really care about that. And a lot of the people who are undecided, I think, because I've seen a few people in those, that had to do panels after to see who they feel like won, the swing voters. Oh, this is gonna be good. Swing, the swing voters. The dude was saying, he said, I was on the fence, but I thought J.D. Vance would support the Constitution even if Trump didn't. Kind of like the same thing we say about Mike Pence, right? Like he won a lot of Republicans because they were like, well, we feel like it's an adult in the room if Mike Pence is the vice president. We at least feel like there's an adult in the room. And they said with his answer of we just looking towards the future. I'm not gonna say if he won or lost. I think with that answer, I think they lost a lot of moderates, because moderates and super patriots, they not really with that January 6th shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so I think that was a good, like a good little. Michael Bear, here we go, V-Ray. It's not coming up. So he said,
yes, I was living my best life. I actually got my stimulus when he was in office.
No comment. Cool. I was just curious.
Dame froze. While he's rebooting.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I was living my best life. I got my stimulus. So let's talk about this real quick, Mike. I understand the economy was booming, but one, that was an economy that he inherited from Barack Obama.
Yep.
And he actually, before the pandemic, he messed that economy up. Pre-pandemic. So he got worse after the pandemic. A lot of people like to say, oh, he had a good economy until the pandemic. He actually didn't. Pre-pandemic, his numbers were dropping, jobs were leaving. He lost a lot of manufacturing jobs, so on and so forth. And also the stimulus check, Michael Bear. Let me explain this to you and my fellow brothers and sisters who feel this way. One, the stimulus check was not because of Donald Trump. Stimulus check was because of Congress. And you can go look this up if you want. He did not want to give. How much did they end up giving? $1,200.
Yeah, he didn't want to give that.
600.
So this is how the negotiations went, Michael. The Democrats, who people be hating on so much, and listen, I know there's reasons to be mad, or there's reasons that the Democrats do shit we don't like, but I'm just factually speaking in the moment about the stimulus checks. The Democrats wanted to give $2,000 to $2,500 to everybody. Trump wanted to give $600. So the middle ground was 12. So then the checks were supposed to actually get to you a week earlier, Mike. And Trump said, no, stop those checks, destroy them, start over, because I want to put my name on it. And it worked because people like you feel like he did it because he put his name on it. So he branded it well, just to give you the scope of the information of what happened. And yes, he inherited, and I want you to go look at this for yourself, Michael. Because it's weird. I went to do research because I wanted to figure out why Republicans were known as the Republicans are really known as the ones for good economies, right? Like they kind of got this reputation that if you want the economy to be good, it's Republican. Going all the way back to Bill Clinton, every president since Bill Clinton cleaned up a Republican mess, and a Republican inherited it and fucked it up again. This is historic. This is factual. The data is there, people. You don't have to look at a station. I tell people, go look at the actual data. You know what I mean? So it's interesting that they have this reputation of being the ones for good economic growth when actually a lot of the good economic growth would happen under a Democrat president, and then they would inherit it and then basically give go back to the trickle down theory of giving everything to the rich and hoping it will trickle down to the poor. Like that's literally the pattern that it has been since might be before Bill Clinton, but I know for sure from the research I did from going to look at the number, I know for sure since Clinton, because Bush was before him, right? Bush 1. So he cleaned up Bush 1's mess. And then from then on, Bush 2 came in, inherited, messed it up. Barack Obama came in, cleaned it up, 8 years. You know, so it's like all the way down, even to Trump. And so I don't know. I wonder why. I guess we need to go and figure out and do some more research to figure out why the Republicans have this very good reputation of being like the ones you want in an economic crisis.
Because they are able to take control of the narrative. I think the Democrats lately have been a lot more responsible and proactive in getting their messaging out about what they've been responsible for. But before that, it's like the Republicans come in and copy off of the Democrats' homework and take credit for the shit. And the Democrats are all like, that wasn't not very nice, you know. Yeah, it wasn't. But I think that's part of it because they stick together even when they lie, and they collaborate on the lie.
They stay on code. They stay on code for sure.
So there's no mystery. I mean, when you look at the numbers, like when Trump was in office and the national debt tripled, didn't it? Was it tripled? I know it.
Yeah.
Didn't it triple? So it's like how
tripled.
There's no fiscal responsibility in that, and yet they still touted that they were doing the right things for the country from a debt perspective. So, and the Democrats didn't contest them is really more so the important piece of
that.
Shannon said, "Why are people so caught up on that stimulus? It wasn't even." Listen,
can I speak to that?
Please do.
All right. I think what we have to do is that, you know, in your household, it may not necessarily be enough, but the average income, when you look across like the Midwest or whatnot, is like $30,000. $35,000. So for those individuals that are getting a check for like $1,200 or whatnot, that's almost like a month's salary to them. You know, and I think that's the most important thing, is that we have to get outside of our state and look at it from a national, you know, perspective. And that's why, you know, again, when you look in those Midwest people were the ones that were like, yeah, okay, da 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 da. You know, and speaking to your point, Dame, Trump did good marketing, putting his name on it, gave this perception that, oh, he's giving us money out of his own pocket.
Yeah, like V-Ray said, they have a really good hold on messaging, which we've been talking about for a very long time. But I think I will say, and tell me if you agree with this, V. I will say since Kamala started running for president, I think that's when the messaging change started, of them kind of taking back some of that narrative and them being a little more assertive about the things they've done, and them being a little more, you know, being better about how, you know, there you go, a throwback article about the stimulus that V-Ray posted. Check that out, Mike, if you get a chance, man. Like I said, because I feel like a lot of our people feel the way you do, and I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I really wanted to speak to that. But I'm glad a lot of people, like I said, I think that January 6th is really gonna move some people in one direction or the other. And like I said, I think Walls did a decent job looking diplomatic, but I wish we would have had a little bit more pitbull from him, man.
Yeah. On the campaign trail, he definitely has a better and a different vibe.
Yeah, different kind of fire.
Yeah,
For
sure.
Another library has burned to the ground, ladies and gentlemen. We lost actor John Amos, the dad from Coming to America, McDowell's. We
lost
Roots, Good Times. What was that? Was it Uptown Saturday Night? Uptown Saturday Night. You know what I mean? Like, phenomenal actor and just somebody like one of those people that we kind of grew up watching. You feel like you knew him, like one of the people you like. Good Times was in your house probably your whole life growing up, and the Roots every February, every Black History, the Roots coming on TV. You know what I'm saying?
He was the OG dad before Bill Cosby was the
he was the black dad model before Bill Cosby came. He was the original black dad model.
Yeah.
You would say
I'm gonna whoop your ass, dad. Though he wasn't going to the room and think about what you did, dad.
Yeah, he ain't gonna punish you and do an elaborate scheme to make you have to buy stuff to show how much it costs to live in the house. Like, he's just gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah,
you back out into the projects.
A period of time where child abuse was legalized.
Absolutely.
But one of the things I saw, and I thought this was sad, was his daughter found out on. Oh, what up, Steph? Oh, Steph, you missed. We just finished talking about the debate. You have to go back and replay it. But
social media.
Yeah, his daughter found out he died on social media because he actually died a week ago. August. Was it August he died?
Well, I think his son posted in August, but the article I read today said he had passed like 45 days. Or like, I guess that would be August, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He passed August, and the daughter didn't know until a couple of days ago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of beef you could have with your sibling to do that August 24th or 21st, one of them. Look at our fact checkers in the comments. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all fact checkers damn debate. Yeah. y'all better fact checkers than they had in the damn debate. But yeah, man, I think that's sad. And I hate to see families going through that stuff, especially death, because in death, dealing with death alone is already enough. But dealing with not finding out your dad died for 45 days is that's some of the most traumatic shit you could probably ever deal with or ever go through, man. My heart goes out to her and the rest of the family that had to find out like us on social media. That's terrible, man.
That's a hard way.
That's a hard way to go, man. So shout out to the family. I was it's funny, I actually posted on my for everybody who don't know too, man, my Instagram got hacked and my shit got disabled. So I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna do a new Instagram or just ride with my Dark McGuire one. Or I'm how you get pissed. I'm just so pissed. I had so many pictures. I had some good fun followers and lost all of them, and they won't even give me a review. So if y'all know anybody who work at Instagram that could hook me up, let me know.
Man, all I would say, Canada got you. I don't know what's going on in Canada and the West Coast.
Drake got us. I was talking too swimmingly about that.
Reckless with your mouth. Huh?
Yeah. See if you say some more shit about me now. But yeah, man, I think it's very sad that he went out like that, and his son actually, went out like that. And
I think that from a selfish perspective, it's like I wish I had known sooner and whatnot, so that he can get his proper tribute. It's like,
yeah, it feels weird. It feels weird talking about it 45 days later. You know what I mean? And it just, like you said, everybody's tributes are starting to happen now and pour out now. And like I said, I was let's see, was it set up with an email address you still have? Yeah, it was, but they haven't been letting me recover it, Ron. Steph said, "Welcome back, Mars. You were missed."
Thank you, Steph.
But yeah, man, I was watching and I was like, it's crazy because Coming to America, because he was so known for drama at that point. So when he took his turn in Coming to America and did the comedy, and he was actually really funny, it was refreshing to see him like that. And I was like replaying some of his stuff today, like one of his famous lines: "They got the Big Mac, we got the Big Mick. They got the golden arches, we got the golden arts." We got a little trouble with McDonald's, like I was like, damn, like he did a good job of delivering like the funny straight man dad and that. Shannon said now his death will be embroiled in scandal. Yeah, which I think is whack, right? Because now we talking about he been gone 45 days. His son was bugged out. And Artemis Gordon, shout out to Artemis too, who I follow. Artemis was talking about how the son was doing weird shit about a year ago. Like Artemis talking about how the son took him and was hiding him from the family and shit, and was changing all the paperwork when the dad was already a little not himself. You know what I mean? So it's been like some weird stuff going on for a while, and I just hate that it got to this point, man. Like it's sad, man. It really sucks. But
and one thing that I don't think they really well, I won't say they never focused on it, because I found it online. So it was something that I learned, that how he fought for the father role on Good Times, during that time. I guess my point is that he was an actor with integrity. It's the last of a dying breed of actors that will take certain roles because of how they reflect on the culture and so forth. And at the time that they were making Good Times, they didn't want to have a father in the family. They wanted it to be Esther Rolle was the head of the household and stuff like that. And he fought for his role. Or they all fought. I think Esther Rolle caped for him for his role. And made sure that the father was in the house. And a lot of the scenarios that they tried to propose on the show, he declined to do them, or he pushed back, on the writing on the show, how they were depicting the black family and stuff like that. And that's why they actually eventually wrote him out of the show, because he was trying to fight for more realistic situations within the
he was trying to stop the buffoonery, because I think the more it was kind of like a Gary Coleman situation, Mars, where the more popular JJ got, the more stuff they tried to get JJ, and then JJ just got a little more silly and sillier. They just want to say dynamite all the time, and like the meat of the show, which made the show good, was the whole family dynamic. Kind of how like it got to a point on Different Strokes, you really just wanted to hear him say, "What you talking about, Willis?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Like those 80 catchphrases that we don't really have no more on TV shows. Like, remember, it's funny you think about it now, like all the old TV shows had a catchphrase that they had to say every episode. But he did fight for that role, and he did fight for the integrity. And I think that was big too, because I think maybe and hopefully that inspired other actors, because I was watching an interview today with TC Carson from Living Single, and he talking about how he was that at Living Single. Everybody would come to him like, hey man, the writer's trying to have me do this and say that. So he was the one who fought for that, and they did the same thing to him. In the 4th season, I think they got rid of him and had him go to London. You know what I mean? But because he was the one fighting for the integrity of the show, and like, this is not how black people talk. This is not how we act. This is not a scenario that we, because he was the one who fought for him, they got rid of him too. But it's kind of like in the same vein. I think people like John Amos, was like the impetus for a lot of black actors in having that fight in them to be like, we just not gonna be doing just anything.
Oh, I gotcha. I got a question for both of you and everyone. What would you say is the golden era for black television?
Ooh.
70s, 80s, or 90s?
You said say it again?
70s, 80s, or 90s?
For black television, it has to be like the Cosby era.
But then you also have Good Times, Jeffersons.
Huh?
You had the Good Times, Jeffersons.
There was some cool stuff then, but
so I will say, and I don't know if it's just because this is like, to me, the end of the 80s spilling into the 90s. This is the pocket I would choose, only because this is when I think we got the most diverse amount of blackness on TV. So the era when you had Cosby Show, Different World, Martin, Living Single, New York Undercover, the Wayans Brothers, Parenthood,
and Living Color.
That era, to me, I would say is the golden era of television. So it'd probably be like 89 to like 99, because you had all those different because don't get me wrong, like you said, Sanford and Son is all that was good, but I feel like we kind of was viewed through one lens through all shows.
Yeah.
Except that even the one who's supposed to be in the polished one was calling people honkies. You know what I'm saying? Like so through, and I guess you could say that's the Norman Lear lens,
Mhm.
you know, where we got the Jeffersons and Good Times and even Archie Bunker, you know, in that era, like that era we were looked at kind of through one lens, but I feel like when you get to see us as cops on New York Undercover, you get to see us on the radio as Martin, you get to see us as a doctor, you get to see us in college, you
Yeah,
get
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? You get to see us run a diner with our pops on the Wayans brothers. You know what I mean? Parenthood. You get to see 2-parent household with middle class. Like I think you got to see us in a whole lot of different scopes. Living single, you get to see us as young, black thriving professionals. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like so, I think you got to see us. And there's other shows that I forgot that probably weren't as big as those, but that were around at that time as well. I feel like because we were
Family Matters.
Yeah, Family Matters was in that area. That's what I'm. Sister. Like, so I feel like I feel like we had a much wider lens back then at that time. So I would say like I said, 89 to like 99 to me would be like the golden era of black television because you know, like around when Fox started going white, they start canceling all those black shows that actually got them on. When WB start going white, the WB UPN, they start canceling all them black shows that actually built that whole station up. You know what I mean? Exactly, Shannon, the WB UPN era. You know, so to me, I would say that's the golden era of black television. Only because I don't know if you'll see that again. The amount of black sitcoms we had headed by black people, and all the different professions you got to see us in. Like, you know, for example, they said like A Different World had like showed like a 300% increase in kids wanting to go to HBCUs, and then black kids want to go to college. Period. Was literally because of a TV show that came on after the Cosby Show. Or you think about the amount of kids who really finally could believe they could be doctors and lawyers because of Claire and Cliff Huxtable, and you know what I mean? Or like I said, Martin Lawrence being on a radio show, like all of that stuff. And it's funny because you know you don't think about how much that representation mean, but you know, Shannon said most black shows now are ratchet. The funny thing is a lot of them not even like sitcoms though. Most black shows are like reality shows, which I think is and there's a couple of people who tried to throw it back to that. Like I know Mike Epps show tried to throw it back to like the 80s, 90s sitcom vibe. Jamie Foxx did one season of a show that I thought felt like he was trying to do that old school sitcom vibe. But I think it was just kind of like, I think it was an era, and I don't know if you can go back now just because of one, the way comedy is looked at. You got to be careful. So a lot of the things that black people would laugh at and probably would just say at the crib, you're not gonna be able to say that shit on Netflix no more. You know what I mean? Like I think just the whole landscape is so different. I don't know if Martin could work now. I don't know if In Living Color could work now. You know what I mean? Because everything that's called cutting edge would be politically incorrect now.
Right.
Well, there's another cutting edge that you keep seeing getting canceled, and that's blacks and the lead hero roles, like what's the show that Jordan Peele had on HBO, the #1 show, I think.
Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft Country.
I love that show too.
And
yeah,
and it was gone because it touched on so much social commentary in the undercurrent that I knew when I saw them do the Tulsa Massacre show, it's like they ain't gonna be back. Like when we went on tour with Black Eyed Peas, they're like, "We'll see y'all in January. We're going to Africa." I'm like, "Nah, we'll never see Africa." This was their Africa tour. But what was the other one with old girl from Regina King?
Yeah,
the Watchmen.
The Watchmen. Yep, Watchmen? Same thing. Yeah, because they touched on that same thing, and it was a great show and had great ratings.
And it had the highest. It was the highest rated show on HBO when it was out. And Lovecraft Country was too. And so the fact that those shows got canceled nonetheless just tells me that the storytelling in black hands is gonna always be handcuffed a little bit. So that type of cutting edge you don't see. The comedy you won't see. Like you said, there's so much political correctness now that you won't see that. So it's like almost like,
even though Miss Pat don't give a shit, Miss Pat be going there on her show.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I mean, somebody got their hand on their hand right by that socket. So if it goes off the rails a little bit, that shit gonna be unplugged.
Hey Ron, that's another good one. American Gods. As soon as the black characters they went viral more than the other characters, they cut that shit and fired all of them.
Yeah. So it's just a shame. And I mean, I'm glad to see that there's more streaming platforms now and there's more opportunities for black content. But you know, if you don't own it, then this is what happens. The storyline is there's still a struggle to keep the storylines shaped the way they always have been, especially when you do something that points to American history in some light other than what the school books say. So I don't know. Yeah, our heroes are controlled in one way or the other. They used to shoot them. Now they just take them off of television.
Yeah. No, that's real. No, that's real talk. Like you said, we had some shows that were really good, substantive, and made us look different in a different light, right? Than the regular reality show stuff or the regular just a comedic sitcom. Like you had some stuff that had some real dramatic weight, like you said, like with The Watchmen, Lovecraft Country with great cast, great acting. I think Lovecraft Country may be one of the greatest black sci-fi things ever put on film. Like the way it looked, the way they shot it, the way the storyline was. Like I was like, yo, this is amazing. They're like, yeah, that's enough of you niggas. Like
right. And Snowfall was on like 43 seasons. As long as you're killing and calling and saying the N-word on television and shit like that, dang.
We'll let you go. Yeah.
I love Snowfall.
Yeah, that was a great question, man. They don't want us to show range. They want us cussing each other out, exactly, and being on some petty shit.
Yeah, and that's stereotypical thing.
Yeah, the one black reality show we had that was beneficial to everyone was Teen Summit, and they got rid of that shit for real, quick, fast, and then I heard.
Yeah,
I used to love Teen Summit too. Money Talks. Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great question, man. Pete Rose. Hall of Famer. Well, no, not Hall of Famer. Constantly in battle. Should be Hall of Famer player. Pete Rose died before he got in the Hall. And I feel bad because I feel like he should have got in the Hall.
I'm fucking pissed off.
With some gambling shit. Like, first of all, y'all self-righteous bastards know he ain't the only one that was gambling, especially in the cocaine 80s, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the cocaine 80s.
Man, they did him dirty. Mark Scott. Fuck
He's
you,
gonna end up in there.
Fuck you, Mark Scott.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He gonna end up in there, but like he should have been in there while he was alive, man.
Yeah, but they needed to punish him while he was alive. Now that he's dead, get a guy a break. Let him in there, like maybe 10 years out.
That's some cold shit, man.
What's the word? Posthumously?
Yeah. Posthumously, yeah. Yeah, I just you know, when I found out he died, I'm like, damn, he didn't get in before he died. Like, that sucks, man. And again, it's these self-righteous reporters because how they tried to do, was it Terrell Owens when they wasn't gonna let him in and he should have been in, and then he didn't go to the thing, and they like, we gonna punish you because you didn't come to our Hall of Fame. So, you know, it's just like, who do y'all think y'all are? Like these dudes did the numbers, they did the things they were supposed to do. Like, come on, man.
I mean, what's even more fucked up? It's not like he was betting against his team to lose. He literally went in there with.
He's like, I'm so cold, we gonna win. I'm betting on us to win.
If anything, I believe in my teammates.
Yeah, like we so cold, I'm finna bet on us to win. So it ain't like he bet to lose and was tanking the game. He was betting to win and was balling out. Balling out.
More players should have been betting if that's the formula.
Right.
Everybody got to bet at least 5,000 this season.
And gambling is legalized now.
Yeah, ain't it crazy? Let me see. The MLB knew about the clearing other substances, the Sammy Sosa, the McGuire, Roger Clemens era, but like because
you saw how much money they were making off of that shit?
Exactly. They made so much money off the home run derby steroids era.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds came back head the size of a football helmet.
Jesus Christ.
I ain't on steroids. Crack, 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 crack. 300 homers in one season. This has never been done. I ain't on steroids. And you've been 125 pounds your whole career.
And the crazy thing about it was like he was a Hall of Famer before the steroids. The only reason why he jumped on that shit because he was jealous of the attention that Sosa and McGuire were getting.
Yeah, like if you look at his career pre-steroid, he already had a Hall of Fame career. But once he start cracking 65 homers
Mm-hmm.
out into the pond, like knocking him into the water, I was like, bro, like.
So let me ask you this question: how do you think they're going to rectify the travesty and the BS that they put Pete and his family through?
They
You think?
can't. But like V-Ray said, they're gonna put him in the hall now.
No, that's a no. That's
How
a
do you
yes.
punish? How do you punish them?
Do you-
How do you punish that though? That's
He
the
had
thing.
to bear that cross, man. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Mhm. Do you allow them
Couldn't
to put
publicly
a,
forgive him.
do you allow them the Reds to put a statue in front of it?
I
Say
would.
again?
Would you allow the Reds to put a statue of him, either the Reds or the Phillies?
I would. I think he deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, like I said, my problem is like V-Ray said, them making him bear that cross his whole life till he died. Now they're gonna praise him, and now they're gonna talk about how great of a player he was. You know, player he was. Except for Rocket sold on the corner they want in. Like,
yeah, that's the one thing I hate about Major League Baseball is like the amount of scandalous motherfuckers that are in the Hall of Fame, and it's like he didn't do anything which led to murder or whatnot or addiction and what. Yeah, okay, gambling is an addiction, but that was stuff that he was doing for his own benefit.
well, I think the other thing is just I think they wanted to make an example out of him.
No, they definitely
Like even unto death, they wanted to make an example out of him. If
But
you got
First of its kind.
you want to was even more fucked up is that every so often they gave him that glimmer of hope that all will be forgiven and then took it away and be like, nope, you're still not getting it. That's the thing that was real fucked up about MLB.
Yeah, no, it's cold, man. It was cold how Pete Rose did. Cause like I said, this happened what 84, 85, and we here in 2020. Like y'all could let that man in the hall in like 2005. You know what I'm saying? Like enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? But like V-Ray said, no, they gonna make you bear that cross till you die because we gonna make an example. You see what happened to Pete Rose? You know what I mean? It's like they drug him out in the middle of the yard and beat his ass. Like y'all see what happened to Pete? Y'all gamble because like they don't care about substance abuse and all that, but you messing with their money, that you they can't have that. You know what I mean? Speaking of messing with people's money,
unified front like parents punishing their kids and shit. They got, even though there's people on both sides that some wanted to see them get it and some didn't. And Major League said no, they have to stick to the shit that they already talked about how terrible he was.
Yep. Their motto is if you ain't cheating, if you ain't trying, if you ain't cheating, look at the scandals, modified bats, spitballs, steroids, unwritten codes, and you hit me, we hit your start. Yeah, like there's hollow bats. Like baseball is riddled with so much to act like he has committed the worst of all sins. Like I said, I think it's sad, man. I think it's sad how they did Pete, especially like y'all ain't kick 80% of the league was on cocaine. So you want to talk about substance? Half the '80s Hall of Famers wouldn't be in the hall. You know what I'm saying? Darryl Strawberry Lee was smoking crack in the parking lot before he came in to play. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it's funny. I mean, baseball always feel like they're a little too self-righteous for their own good anyway.
The one thing I will say about Pete Rose, in his early days, there was always that tension about it, question about whether or not he was racist or whatnot. I will say that when everybody turned his back and he saw the acceptance that he was getting from black people, black players, that motherfucker woke up.
I'm sure he did.
That motherfucker woke up quick.
I'm sure he did. But like I said, man, like, because who was the lady that the big scandal, Marge Scott? Yeah, that was like the big. I forgot about that. The big racism scandal of the '80s.
Yeah, she was the reason why I stopped rooting for the Reds.
Yeah,
I didn't realize. Like I'm a young kid and whatnot. I didn't know what racism was. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? 4 or 5. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Like I said, man, I think it sucks. But speaking of playing with people's money, we have a lot of the port workers and dock workers are on strike right now. Mostly on the East Coast, because the dock workers from the West Coast are on a different union and they on a different contract. but they said like all the East Coast docks and some of the Texas and the Southern docks are going to be closed. And they said if they don't get a deal really soon, ta-da, more inflation, ladies and gentlemen, because there's going to be a supply chain issue again.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for y'all. What do you think? How do you think this will affect the current election if they don't get this shit squared up quickly? Let's talk about that first. And the second thing is one of the biggest reasons they're striking, and I think this is smart, they're trying to stop them from using all these automated shit that's taking their jobs.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the issues. From an election standpoint, I think the sides have already been chosen. I know that Kamala came out today, or I don't know if it was just today, but she spoke out on behalf of the striking workers. You know,
Mhm.
saying she's for the people, and Trump has always been anti-union and, you know, anti-overtime and anti-paying his fucking bills and all that shit like that. So I think it could just get it could spiral into just more talking points between the two.
Right.
But I know more people are for unions and the fair wages and stuff like that than not. So I think it might end up being another angle of advantage for Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
No,
think,
no,
Rob?
I agree. Like, especially like, working at the MTA and seeing the impact of unions and whatnot. Like, I can understand why, quote unquote, someone like him would not necessarily want unions. But the reality of the situation is, unions keep people employed. You know, you get rid, and imagine he gets his way, he breaks up unions. People getting fired left and right. Getting fired left and right.
Ron said, well, first Shannon said they're gonna find a way to blame it on Kamala. California is good. We have one of the largest ports in the world, but overall, this will start to come down to S&D. So those back east will start buying up our goods at marked up rate, which will cause prices to increase. Absolutely, Michael. They said they already started diverting some of the ships to other docks that are still open. But they said if it takes a long time, especially with Christmas coming up, these are the docks that bring in a lot of the toys, batteries, cars, and fruits and vegetables. So if they don't get this, and Pete Buttigieg was on TV, said the labor secretary has been talking to both sides. He said he feels like both sides are closer to each other than they think. So they hoping they can get a deal done quick. They said the initial deal that was offered by the not the union, but the initial deal that was offered by the docks was not good at all. So he said they feel like they're getting closer. Shannon said, talking to one of my trucker friends, they say it takes a long time to get loaded on the docks. Some automation will help to get cargo out. I think it has to be a balance though, because like somebody posted today, a dude was working. He like, look, I'm the only one here, and it's like almost the whole dock was automated. And he was like showing the video. Unions are slowly being forced out, so we must support union workers and unions in general. That's from Ron. Stephanie said, and the American people are getting sick and tired of all these automated machines taking over the jobs, from the self-checkouts to the self-kiosks at the fast food restaurants to them trying to get these self-driving big rigs, and now this. If they don't get this squared away soon, it can definitely swing in the wrong direction. I'm like, have none of you niggas watched Terminator? Have none of y'all watched like one sci-fi movie? Like one sci-fi movie where we give all the power to the machines. Nobody's watched none of this, where we like letting the cars drive themselves and letting robots take our jobs. Like, what do y'all think is gonna happen when they become sentient? Like, what?
Wait till I go further. AI.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. AI along with, you know what I'm saying, the robots.
And it's all learning software. It's already
Mhm.
the software where they're learning from each time they do an exercise or a task or an interaction. That's happening now. So they're stacking up knowledge, and it can stack it up way faster in a computer motherboard, and the reactions, and like if the time that it takes you to think of the answer to a math question is 10 times faster, 30 times faster from a computer. You just hit enter and the answer is there immediately and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be, they're going to have discernment very soon. They have it now to a certain extent, but 10 years from now, It's going to be crazy. 20 years from now, who knows where the hell?
Well, yeah, what's interesting is almost all the strikes that we are seeing, from the docs all the way to film and television, the actors, the actresses, and the workers, a lot of it has been about automation, AI, and how much and how far they're gonna let it go in regards to what they're gonna be able to do creatively. The only thing about AI though, that initially was created with great intentions and people are using it for other purposes. Like, I can't do anything without AI, but it's not for the reasons that they are trying to use it for. Ron said exactly, we must be forward thinkers, either learn to repair these machines or develop them and control them. Next, we need to move to skilled labor jobs who are aging out: electricians, plumbers, HVAC workers. But don't just sit there and think all jobs will remain. Create people. Very, very astute comment, Ron. And again, so like you said, like the funny thing is, like, all these automated, you go to the grocery store, this is how dumb it is to me. But like you said, V-Ray, the more they get it better. But almost all the automated machines at the grocery store, it needs a person there because they malfunction so much. It needs a person there to reset it. It needs a person there to say, oh, you did scan this apple, because if you don't scan the apple, it won't let you pay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so many issues with it. But like you said, a lot of this shit is learning on the fly. A lot of these machines and AIs are teaching themselves, right?
Right. In a minute, that human that's there to fix the problems of the self checkout machines is not going to be a human anymore. You know what I'm saying? That may be a robot at some point.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I work in IT, so I'm seeing it trickle in places. And I will say this too, that they're conditioning a generation for AI to be normal, to disregard the human person that we know of in certain transactions and shit like that. Now, that's why all this AI shit, you can upload stuff and get tasks done for free, and free writing ideas, and upload your idea for a movie scene and you can download the free shit and all that stuff like that. That's not for us at our ages. It's for the kids that are coming up, that'll be all they know. Like, you know what I mean? It's always been AI. Whatever we are using now will be that old school shit back when my grandfather Dane was young and shit, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of shit. So it's the conditioning is already happening where we think it's all cool and, you can drive for free and all that shit like that.
Well, even like they put AI on shit that, like, when you even go to your text messages, they got an AI person in your text shit. They got an AI in WhatsApp. They got an AI, like, you know what I'm saying? They got AI creations in almost every single thing that you do on your phone now. I'm like, that's crazy. I didn't ask for no AI assistance on my text message app, you know?
And Microsoft Office has Copilot the application that now where you can just tell it you can give it a summary of an email that you want to write, and it'll write your emails and shit for you. Look at my calendar and send out some invitations for my available times for next week for different meetings and shit like that. And it goes and looks at your Outlook calendar. You taking a shit, and Copilot is doing all your shit for you and shit. It's like you don't even have to think anymore. You don't have to be educated damn near, as long as you know what to ask for. You don't have to have any skill level at all. Music, art, movies and filmmaking and all this stuff like that. Even business administration anymore is less human and more just ask the right question.
Ron said administrative jobs are at the highest risk. AI can do this, so if you can do this now, prepare for now and don't wait. He said,
that's what Copilot is. That's exactly that.
Right, and manage. Before I know Mars got to go in a little bit. But before you go, I got a question for y'all. I was thinking about this, V-Ray, of course, because of our wild ass text messages threads. But what do y'all think would happen if there was like a real HR in the music and entertainment business?
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's
like our era as Sony. Let's even take our era as Sony in the early 2000s. Like, but like I'm talking about outside of the office. I'm talking about like every band, every manager, every A&R, every actor, every agent that we all knew. What if there was like an HR for all that shit? What?
Do you know how much complaining would be done?
Yeah, television would just be that snow that be on TV. It used to be on TV at like 4:00 in the morning when all the channels go off and shit. It would be
like my boss called me a motherfucker. My boss is like, I have to go on a date with my boss. Is that really part of my job? Boss wants me to come over to his house, but every single time I go over there, he's in a white robe, bathrobe.
Hell no.
Yeah.
That shit did happen at Sony.
Trust me, I believe it. I believe.
Oh, that was a real story?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Lord. You shouldn't have been so sexy, Rob. That's
No,
back in those
no,
days.
it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I just happened to go with the person. I was like, what the fuck?
Sure it wasn't, Rob. But yeah, man, it's too insane. It's insane now. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
right.
in those back, there was no guardrails at all.
You know, like watching the Diddy shit go down, and made me think about that. I was like, yo, what if there was like, what if there was like a real HR at them parties and shit back in, you know what I'm saying? What if there was a music business HR?
Yeah.
What if there was a HR at what record label was R. Kelly on? Was it Blackground? No,
Jive.
Yeah, Blackground Jive.
Yeah. So that there would be so many people in jail right now.
Man.
Not just fired, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing real time.
An executive who will remain nameless at Sony. We watched him, Mars. I don't know if you remember this. We watched him after a quick coke binge in his office, doing so much illegal shit. Little short guy with a very bad temper.
Oh Jesus!
And
yeah,
he was doing all kind of legal shit in front of us, talking about giving Lexuses to radio promoters to play a certain record.
Man.
I'm like, I don't feel like I need to be in here to hear this. I feel like I might be an accomplice.
Man, I've seen. I don't even want to put the department, but managers passing around photos of a topless intern that he happened to be smashing, and then just co-workers just smashing, and then trying to look into the other person's email to find out what's going on in their personal life. Oh,
Jesus, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I just thought about it with all the cases. I was like, yo, what if there was like a real life music business HR?
Do you know how fucked up that we thought that shit was normal?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like nobody flinched. Nobody batted in retrospect, I'm like, yo, it was like the wild, wild west, yo. Like it was some wild times.
Man, I am so happy that the person I worked for, she made sure that I was not part of that nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah. It was some wild stuff going on.
If I was pulled into it, I was pulling you into it.
Oh yeah, I ain't on no part. I'm telling you, I used to be in meetings sometimes. They used to be saying some stuff. I'm like, yeah, I should go. Like, I don't think I need to hear this. Like, I know some people want to know where the bodies are buried. I don't. I'm not one of those people.
I'm just a good kid in a mad company.
Right. That's what it felt like. Like who I should be out there with, Mars? I used to be out there with the assistants and the interns.
That's why it's like whenever I was there, I was like, I don't want to hang out with anyone there. Like, what the fuck?
Because every time we hang out with the actual executives, I'd be like, they are grimy as hell.
No, but the thing about it was like when you were around them and like in those club areas, you're like, God damn, you really corny as fuck.
Like you said, when they was buying clubs, buying the bar, getting artists drunk so they could sign the next day, like all kind of wild shit. Like,
yeah,
what you need, they're getting artists cocaine and shit before they sign a multi-year contract, getting them high, drunk, bringing them the next day hungover to sign contract.
Yeah,
and we thought that shit was normal.
Yeah,
it was normal back then. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the norm.
No, it was normal. That was the culture.
Right. Right, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. It wasn't normal. I'm saying like the culture, it was so normalized that nobody even batted an eye that these things were happening.
And that was in the office where you would think there would be the guardrails and the corporate environment versus like on the road where just
the road. I don't even want to talk about it with HR on the road. And everybody going to jail.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, the groupies?
Even the bus driver be under arrest.
Yeah. HR on the road, we ain't gonna talk about that. That's a whole another of another.
Right. But just the fact that that's the corporate version of that era is terrible. That all
Man.
this is happening.
Like
Oh,
you literally in front of me snorting cocaine on your desk.
mhm. Want a bump?
Right. You want to bump G? No.
Yeah.
Yo, yo. So segueing into the Diddy situation now.
Okay.
Do you know that two things? They said that motherfucker has been an addict for the last 15 years.
That don't shock me at all.
And then all those 10,000 bottles of baby oil that he had, they're saying it wasn't baby oil. That shit was Spanish fly.
What?
Spanish fly.
I heard it was baby oil and lube.
Nah, that shit was Spanish fly, my nigga.
Well, even more than that, because if it was baby oil, this is my first thought. 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
No,
Right.
10. No, 1,000.
I know, but let's just talk about 1,000 bottles of baby oil. We're not gonna get to 10. 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
And they got a warehouse somewhere.
Do y'all know how long? Look at your house. How long does it take you to get through one bottle of baby oil?
But they like on them porn sets. They got that shit in spray bottles. They ain't using like normal people moisturizing
But
removing
me,
their
I'm saying,
makeup.
even with that amount of use, think about how long it takes to get through one bottle of baby oil.
That's like months.
In the right hands, a bottle of baby oil.
Literally in the right
hands. You ain't saying shit. That's like, just imagine a person with one beer. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? That is nothing, bro. In the wrong hands, baby oil don't go a long way.
Oh, Spanish fly is supposed to be something that get people horny, Shannon, and gets them ready to go.
Yeah, old school aphrodisiac. I ain't even heard the word Spanish fly in like fucking 50
Since Bill
years.
Cosby.
That used to be in the back of the comic books and shit.
At least one bottle per quarter, and that's using it daily. Shea butter, like that's what I'm saying, Brian. Like I'm like 1,000 bottles, like 10,000 bottles, but I can't even imagine 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Like,
yeah,
where do you store 1,000 of them?
Yeah. No, he had a room. No, he had rooms. But then this is what this whole situation is. We're at the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Because the videos that are coming out now, where you can tell he's clearly drunk, and he's telling the people at his house, like, yeah, your kid's gonna have to leave in an hour because the jump off is starting in an hour.
Well, at least he told him. At least he got the kids out of there.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like you said, the more that comes out, the wilder it's gonna get. Because I'm like, if this is what they starting with, they're starting with 10,000 bottles of baby oil and Spanish fly. If this is what they're starting with, bro, what do you think is coming down the pipeline?
Game.
And this fool videotaped everything, though. That's the
thing.
Wild part.
One of the FBI agents said they couldn't even get through like the first 10 minutes of a video. If you got videos upon videos and you can't get through 10 minutes,
man.
Yo.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So sorry for that, Officer Willie. He said, "What officer had to count them? Who had to put all that shit in the evidence?
Out of his hands and shit.
Booty lube, bottle number 36, all in the evidence. He got to write it all in the evidence.
Yeah, ruining your shirt and shit. This shit ain't gonna never come out. God damn it. That's a fucked up situation.
That's crazy, man. Like I said, I know the Diddy shit is gonna get wilder and wilder. I think it's gonna get to a point where you like, if you wrote about this, like if you wrote it like a movie, it wouldn't be real. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
it couldn't be R-rated for sure.
The 50 Cent documentary on Netflix, that shit is going to be crazy.
50 Cent is the biggest troll ever, dog. Something wrong with that dude, man.
Yeah.
That shit's gonna be crazy.
Speaking of documentaries, I heard there's supposed to be a documentary talking about Chris Brown and his abuse. Now, my question is,
really?
Yeah, my question is, if that's something if they're going back to rehash from years ago, do y'all think that's fair game to do it again, or do you think at some point you gotta let that man live? What are your thoughts on that?
Damn. You see, the problem is that is public knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always gonna be somebody trying to make money.
But Mars, there's also a lot that's not public knowledge.
Right. See, and that's where you're walking that fine line of, what people saw, and then you could potentially then mistakenly jump into rumors. Because once you get people, you throw that little catfish nugget and whatnot, and they're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. You can literally film on the other side or prolong it, and then people be like, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing of, like, I just that's a tough one, man. That's a really tough one. Because it's like, on the one hand, it's like, I understand he could have potentially have learned from his mistakes and grown in, and now he's a little bit more private in the things in which he do. Except that, that song that he went off on Quavo, that was kind of fucked up.
Shannon said Chris Brown continued to still have problematic behavior issues. True, but Shannon, I will say this, and what I've seen is a lot of those problematic issues ended up being false, though, too. Mixed in with some real shit, but a lot of it was, women coming out trying to get bread, women coming out lying in and getting caught in they lie. Like, I think they said the lady today, her lawyer just dropped her today because she was trying to say Chris Brown raped her, and they said her story wasn't adding up. And so it's also because of his initial issue,
his reputation and all that.
His reputation, he became a target.
He's a target.
Yeah, like he became a target to get bread. Like, oh, they'll believe it if I say Chris Brown did it. I agree, because everything he supposedly did was magnified and under a microscope, but the whole story of her involvement was never shared. She was just shown as a victim. Okay, so Stephanie knows what's up.
And look at how many cases are gonna come up against Diddy, and I'm sure there's a great amount of them that are true, but there's gonna be some piggyback niggas that's gonna try to get in under the radar and say they were involved or they were wrong.
Yeah, because I think I read somewhere today where they said like 100 new cases,
120
new cases today.
Yeah, so
he's not getting out.
No,
and
what I will say, I'm finna say what I will say though. The video could help him though, V-Ray, if it shows that it was consensual. The video could help him. And two, all I've heard, because Quincy, to quote Quincy, he said right now, honestly, with all of the stuff that he's read in the actual case, he said right now it just like he a freaky ass nigga, 69 guy, like more than.
I mean, that's obvious. That goes without saying, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Yeah, you can't just take shit at face value until the actual cases are heard and they start just filtering out the bullshit from the real shit and all these underage. I heard somebody brought a case to that lawyer that announced 120 cases that somebody was 9 years old and another motherfucker was 14 and shit. You know what I'm saying? Some of that shit just don't sound. It don't sound like it's based in truth. It just sounds like it's either something to make the shit even more horrific than it already, sound more horrific than it already is, or somebody's trying to ease in there and get paid and shit. The money's right out for you. I might fuck around and say Diddy did some shit to me.
Right. Shannon said, did Rihanna present herself as a victim? I haven't heard her comment on it. I don't think she did.
She doesn't speak on it.
Yeah, she don't speak on it, Shannon. I think that was the way it was presented to us. I think that's what Stephanie's talking about. She said, did y'all see what Superhead said about it? I have not, Steph. I have to go check that out and see what she said.
The Puffy situation?
Yeah, said Cat tried to warn us. You got to tell Diddy no.
Nigga Puffy she said that nigga Puffy gave her to some other nigga.
I did hear that. Yes. No, they said she was with. They don't know who she was with, and they said Puff drove up, and they were like, "Oh, you look sad," and they're like, "We're gonna give her to you tonight."
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, something like yeah. I did hear that.
Wait, Ron, let me ask you this question: if Diddy is willing to make a pass on Mike Tyson, the heavyweight champion of the world, he tried to be touchy-feely.
No,
you say no to that?
Shit, man. Here's what I saw, Mars. I saw niggas putting that shit in the caption, but on the you're talking about on the Arsenio show?
Yes.
No, he was saying something about how much money Puffy had, so he picked up his wrist to show the bracelet the nigga had on his arm. He wasn't like trying to move his hand off his thigh like low key Mike Tyson. If a motherfucker start rubbing on his damn leg and shit.
No, you got
to cuss that motherfucker out.
You have to. No,
like
you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it again and look at Diddy's reaction. That motherfucker was like, "I'm just trying to be your friend, bad boy. I mean, playboy."
See, you're predisposed to that situation, bro. Look at it because he said something about how much money Diddy has or something like that, and he picks up his arm and Diddy got some bling on and shit. Because I was like, I don't know how Mike Tyson didn't just punch this motherfucker. Mike Tyson don't give a fuck.
I'm gonna send it to
He's on television. You think that nigga wouldn't sock the shit out of motherfucking Puffy for doing something, questioning or bringing it to play his manhood on fucking television?
Dave, I'm gonna send it to you, and you be the judge.
Huh?
I'm gonna say
Mike Tyson. He ain't going for that.
That's what I'm saying. This nigga got anger issues from way long time ago with women.
Nigga almost killed Cisco just for being around because he didn't like the thong song. Like Stephanie said she was with Ja Rule and Irv Gotti, and Puffy told them to send her to his house, and she went. She said that it was a life-changing moment for her, and she doesn't regret anything. She went willingly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like a lot of these situations could be that, but what's gonna fuck Diddy up in this whole thing is the way he's viewed now since that Cassie video.
Yeah,
that along with the allegations, it's gonna be tough for him to get out of it.
Yeah,
Ron said Mike be doped up too.
Nah, he ain't that motherfucking doped up. Now, Puffy. I don't think that'll ever be his reaction and shit. You wrong for that, Puffy.
Oh no, it wasn't the Arsenio. I'm about to send it to you.
It wasn't Arsenio?
No, it wasn't Arsenio.
Really? Okay.
It was with the Wayne brothers.
Oh yeah, it was yeah. I did see that.
Dan, I'm gonna have to jump, but I'm gonna give you two shows that you guys should jump into.
Okay.
HBO's The Industry is on season 3.
I watched the first season.
Too, man.
I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up. I like that show. That show is heavy.
It's super dope.
And Apple TV, Slow Horse.
Slow Horse?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is that the one that what's my man? The actor with the accent who
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman? Is that the one Gary Oldman is on? Yeah. Okay, I love Gary Oldman. Hey, I'm telling everybody, if you can too, man, watch The Penguin. That show is fire.
Oh my god, yeah.
The Penguin, the way they made him like a real person, and the way they grounded his story to where he's like, it explains everything. It's so dope. Like The Penguin is.
And old boy plays the shit out of the role too, man.
Yeah, The Penguin and Fight Night, $1 Million Heist with Kevin Hart and Samuel Jackson. Really good.
I will say this because I was listening, following all the stuff that's going on in the trade. With the success that the Penguin is having, James Gunn is trying to get Reeves' Batman universe part of his quote-unquote DCU universe. The other thing is, what do you think about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson potentially being cast to play Apocalypse for the
I think that's dope. I think that's actually dope. Him playing Apocalypse.
You better be humble. He fucked his last.
Yeah. You better come there. Be quiet. Wait, before you get out, Marco, we all gonna get out of here early tonight. This last thing I want to talk about: Boosie and his daughter.
Oh, I didn't see that. So you got to put me up on game.
Yeah. What was that?
So Boosie has a daughter who's gay, and for some reason he's always like bringing her up in interviews and shit. And she said she's been trying to be quiet, but in this last interview he brought her up. He said he don't allow her to bring her girlfriend over because he got younger daughters, and he don't want his younger daughters to get contaminated. This is the word she used. He don't want his daughters to get contaminated by her gayness, by her bringing her girlfriend over. He said, my mama don't believe in it. Like my daddy didn't believe, my granddaddy didn't believe in it. But then the daughter was in the car and she's like super hurt because she's like, that's my daddy and I love him and I try not, even when people be trying to shit on him for the wild shit he be saying about me, she's like, I'll be trying to defend him, but it's getting hard to defend. And it just hurts that he would say, I think the word contaminate is probably the worst shit that he could have, you know what I'm saying? Like to say her to contaminate, like that's really bad. And look, man, first of all, because he said I don't believe in it. Like, it's not about you believing in it. Gay is here. Gay is real. Gay is like it's not an imaginary thing. Like, people are gay, bro. Like, and you know what I'm saying? Like, but to do that to your daughter constantly and repeatedly traumatize her when she's been trying to, like, because I think she's been trying to give him grace. Like, she's been trying to be like, I know it's hard for him to accept because how he is and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think at some point though, man, this dude gotta get in counseling with his daughter or something, because or you know what I'm saying, you gonna lose her. But that's what happened. Boosie got to understand he ain't his grandfather or dad. It's a different time. Boosie fuck around and lose her completely. Exactly. He said niggas acting like gay is a flat earth topic of global warming.
I'll go for it. I think he already lost her, truthfully speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, if this is something that's constant and is going on, knowing what it is that we've witnessed with him and his outspokenness, where he doesn't think about what he's saying and whatnot. And I'm assuming that she has been educated based upon the financial rewards that he has. If she's grown up, she thinks differently, etc. What it is that she's doing. If she's constantly being harassed and she has to deal with this shit in her day-to-day life, and she's trying to just go through A and B and whatnot, she may just be like, I'm gonna do my own thing and then separate. That I'll respect you as my father, but I will not allow you to take part in my life. I think he could potentially lose her, or already has lost her.
Yeah.
Shannon said he has a right to govern what happens in his house. However, he doesn't have to speak publicly on it. Just love her. Exactly. He doesn't have to accept it. And like I said, there's ways to do that. Again, like you said, if you don't want to accept it, that's fine. But to continuously drag her out in public and do and say the things that, because like how hurtful is it to say, like, I don't want my daughter contaminating my other kids. Like, and I'm just talking about the traumatic side.
Wait, how old is she?
I think she's like 24. She said he's an excellent provider, but a horrible parent.
There it is.
Yeah, it speaks to everything. I think the type of hurt that is too is different from just being a mean parent or whatever. Because I mean, he's speaking to the way she emotionally connects with with people. So if you condemn how the person, their love mechanism is, I mean, that's a harsh ass thing to do. And like you said, doing it publicly. I mean, even doing it privately is fucked up, but doing it publicly, like, nigga, the internet is everywhere. You ain't just talking to your closest 3 friends and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you got followers like a motherfucker. So
yeah,
when you say some shit like that, it's more than a notion. So it's just irresponsible, man. I know everybody wants the clickbait of some type of shit, but not at the risk of your loved ones, man. That shit doesn't make sense.
Man, the internet be fucking shit up because people don't understand the impact that the internet has. They understand the likes of it, but
and that shit don't never go away. Like, you talking about your daughter, this shit it's not going away, bro. Like, even if y'all get over it, like even like with the shit that Hewley has to deal with, because once he had spoke on his daughter being sexually assaulted, and he said he didn't believe her at first, and he said that's like the biggest regret in his life. Mm-hmm. This shit still pops up 3 years later now. Like, anytime somebody want to get a DL Hewley and piss him off, they bring up that shit with his daughter, right? Mm-hmm. So of course, yeah, you getting that DL, but guess who you traumatizing again? His daughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Guess who you fucking up again? Stephanie says, shaming your child in any kind of way will always backfire on you, whether it's about their sexuality, their weight, or just their difference in general. Some parents seem to think that their children are supposed to live for them and their satisfaction. That couldn't be more further from the truth. Ron said, Boosie tends to display traits of someone who is in a closet. Because he is very, like, sometimes he do be a little too homophobic, and it make me raise an eyebrow.
Yeah. Me think thou doth protest too much.
Yeah, anybody who be like super mad homophobic for no reason and without you even asking them, I'll be like, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Shannon said he came back with an apology. He did? Okay, I gotta go see the apology. I didn't know he came back with an apology.
But even that, you can't unring that bell though, man.
No, man. And like you said, Ray, that's your kids. Even if there's things you don't accept or you feel like you can't accept, like, you still gotta love your kid, because more than anything, they want your love and your acceptance.
Right.
And to not get it from the person who they probably need it from the most. And not to get all super deep, but we've had a rise in youth black suicides, male and females. And I think it's because of a lot of that type of stuff, a lot of that type of thinking. Stephanie said I was thinking the same thing, Ron. Yeah, I've had that thought a couple times, Ron. I ain't gonna lie, because I just be like, they didn't even ask him about gay people, and now he's going off about some homophobic, rant. So that'd be a little odd to me, but
yeah, Mark Robinson. Why are you acting on Mark Robinson and shit?
And lastly, before we get out of here, 'cause I want to get out here on a high note. I think somebody found out about my Kirk Franklin theory about R&B music.
Mm-hmm.
And Jermaine Dupri was talking about it. He said there's no soul in R&B music because kids ain't in church no more. So these artists you getting ain't coming from church. So you missing that soul in R&B music because all of if you go back, all we heard was contamination. That's like a hazardous chemical or trash, not an adjective to describe your child. Right, Ron? You think about SWV, you think about Jodeci, all of them church boys and church singers that was like the staple of 90s R&B.
Mm-hmm.
They all came from church. You get these artists now who don't come from church, you ain't got no soul. I know you're looking a little confused, Mars, when I said the Kirk Franklin theory. So my theory is R&B got destroyed, and he didn't do it on purpose. I love Kirk Franklin, but R&B got destroyed when Kirk Franklin turned gospel on its axis. Because what happened was, for so long, gospel predicated what happened in R&B, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever what gospel is doing will be the next phase of R&B. Right? Kirk Franklin made that shit go backwards. Kirk Franklin started taking his cues from
R&B, right?
So when he started taking the cues from secular, all the gospel started going that way, and it messed up the way we got to the next phase of R&B. Because again,
that's a good theory. Because did you listen to the CeCe Winans album?
Yeah,
I was confused.
Or even like Mary Mary and Shackles. Like again, I think I love those records. Those records are dope. But I think he had got to a point where taking the cue from gospel got so in tune with taking the cue from hip hop that we lost the way because the Clark sisters gave you SWV, and the Clark sisters gave you Destiny Child. Clark sisters gave you what's her name, Faith Evans, because you could hear their runs and their singing style, their kind of they particular harmonies, all of that you heard in R&B, right? Like so many groups I can go back, I'll be like, oh, they listen to the Clark sisters. Or you think about it, remember back in the day, every time an R&B group sung an acapella, it was a gospel song.
Yeah. Yo, you're on point with that one. I didn't even think about that one.
I think that's when it all changed. I think when Kirk Franklin flipped the way that we were influenced, everything just like smashed. It's like, seeing yourself like in Back to the Future, running into yourself. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like you went to Kirk Franklin and you were like, oh, Hammer's in town?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep. Stephanie said back in the day, all the R&B male singers were emulating. It was John P. Key and it was commission. You go back to all even you listen to all of Montel Williams' background, they was trying to do commission. You know what I'm saying? Dane Crawford. When BB and CeCe Winans came out in the 80s, they were considered secular. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, because it was that at that time, it was that far apart. You know what I mean? But like I said, when Stomp came out, that changed everything. The Five Blind Boys, this Willie, he said the Five Blind Boys influenced a lot of black R&B groups. When you put it that they did. Like,
what's the boy's name? From Chicago, Dave
Hollister.
Yeah, Dave Hollister. That's all gospel influence.
He even did what was that? He did a secular version of "There's a Leak in This Old Building," which is a super old gospel, spiritual joint. So, like I said, I feel like once that happened, all the kids, when we start going to church, you would see the people trying to do stomp in the church, and they dancing in church now, and they not wearing robes no more. They not marching down, like all the things that, like I said, will always drive R&B to its next level. Because like John P. Key and commission, when Jesus Is Real and Commission and all that, all the R&B male singers was emulating that. So that's where, you know, R&B went next with the kind of chords that were played.
Yeah.
We weren't, after gospel music started taking its cues from hip hop, gospel was no longer innovating anymore. You're lucky if you have a church with an actual choir. It's all about praise. And yeah, it's like 4 people up there singing, and you got to audition, and you might get kicked the hell out. You know,
17 dancers.
Yeah,
you're 17 praise dancers.
Yeah, praise dancers.
Yeah, Shannon said, "Bring back choir robes and white gloves for the ushers." But yeah, so yeah, that's my theory. That's my Kirk Franklin theory of why R&B music started to suck. We want to thank everybody, man. This was a great show. Everybody in the comments, man, we love y'all. I really, really appreciate y'all. I appreciate the way y'all help us keep the show going. And I appreciate Shannon and Steph be on my ass. Like, y'all going on? What time y'all going on? What y'all talking about? Shannon and Steph helping me with the subject matter. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, man, we gonna Shannon said she wants to do a special show, a special election show, which we'll do, you know, when it get close to election time.
Oh man, let's go.
Gather all the data.
That one.
Yeah, we'll gather all the data, pull out our charts and shit, and look like we know what we're talking about. We're gonna
broadcast from one of the polling stations. That'll be
yeah. I'm gonna wear a button-down shirt that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put news in the background. I'm gonna put like a news background for that day. I'm gonna change the background to like I'm in a news station.
Sports code on the shit.
Yeah, for the election show. So we definitely gonna do that, guys. But yeah, man, you know, Wild Thoughts, we here just to talk about what's going on in the culture, what's going on in the world right now. Keep everybody up on it, and we appreciate y'all tapping in with us, because y'all don't have to. And all the people who be watching who don't comment, I appreciate y'all too. Like I said, I run into so many people who, like, I watched the whole thing last night. I'm like, damn, I didn't even know. Like, y'all didn't pop up. So shout out to all y'all. And Mars, it's good to have you back. Mars is back from his hiatus.
I will say this, that, you know, we, the city of New York, are also taking applications for anyone that wants to be a Knicks fan.
Oh, you going back to the you a hoe, man? Because y'all got Carl at the time. You such a hoe, Mars. I knew you was gonna do that too. I knew you was gonna do that. Next time I want to talk about the guy that got executed. Stephanie, go back and watch our show last week. We actually talked about that last week. We talked about that on last week's show. I said, as soon as I saw that trade, I meant to text your ass. As soon as I saw that trade, I said, Mars is gonna go back to the Knicks.
No, I'm still rolling with Philly.
Philly, I got Paul George.
No, I'm still rolling with Philly. It's gonna be a dog fight.
Shannon said, Mars, don't get run off again. Cat on Club Shay Shay is interesting. I want to see that. And just real quick too, man, if y'all get a chance, watch Coach Prime, Ocho Cinco, and Shay on the nightcap when Coach Prime was talking about Shay getting caught on his live. That shit is hilarious.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, he said it's like you blew a carburetor. It's
but
funny.
you know, I've been seeing a bunch of commercials now with old boy talking about whatever that
enhancing.
is.
Yeah.
That's why
that shit was all a stunt. Man.
No, that's why I think it was staged. That's why I think it was staged.
Yeah, how you go on live twice and shit, and then say, I mean, I was on that row or whatever. What is it called that he's
some pills.
Yeah. And I mean, he's constantly on there now and shit. Because I fell for the ad because I saw his picture. I'm like, oh, what's this? And this nigga talking about erectile dysfunction and shit.
Yeah, he's selling them gas pills. Pills.
All I will say is that whatever was going on, and all the names of Michelle, how could we ain't hear nothing clapping? Okay, good night.
You stupid.
All right, Puffy.
All right. No Diddy.
He even had no baby oil.
Where was the baby oil if it's real?
So
all right, y'all, man. We gonna get out of here. We like to thank y'all again. We'll see y'all next week. Let us know. You know, we know a whole bunch of shit is gonna happen between here and next week. So
of course.
Good night, Mark. Lamar's getting all the love tonight. All right, y'all. I see y'all next time. This has been Wild Thoughts.
line. I gotta get off.
Electric slide into the devil doors of life. Things are changing and it ain't the way I like.
On the replay, wish I could get a replay. Don't mean to hold ya, but I wanna do over.
Gas up the ship, shoot me a text and let me know when it is time.
I wanna get off, I wanna get off.
1 star, would not recommend